SpectrumTv, broadening your horizon.
All right, good day and welcome to today's edition of Political Spectrum, coming to you live from Uyo, the state's capital. I am your host, Onwese Ehinoma Olusegun. And our conversations for today will continue on political and economic developments around us. Well, on President Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is August the 16th, Wednesday, 2023, and it marks exactly 80 days of President Bola Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this is about 2 months and 19 days, and gradually moving to his first day in office. All right, very well. Today we will begin with the fate of the embattled former CBN governor as federal government files fresh charges to arraign Emefiele and associates for 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud. Now, the federal government on Tuesday applied to withdraw the charge of illegal possession of firearms filed against the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. The Director of Public Prosecutions at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mohammed Bakodo Abubakar, who approached the Federal High Court in Ikoyi with an oral application, said the withdrawal followed the result of further investigations. Now, Abubakar, however, disclosed that said fresh charges with 20 counts had been filed against Emefiele at the Federal High Court, Abuja. He made this known while speaking with journalists after today's proceedings. Recall that on July 25th, Emefiele was arraigned on a 2-count charge bordering on illegal possessions of firearms and the Federal High Court in Ikoyi, Lagos. But now, as it is obvious, the federal government will on Thursday arraign the suspended CBN governor Godwin Emefiele and his associates for 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Maitama, Abuja. The case is for arraignment and mention. Emefiele will be arraigned alongside a female CBN employee, Sadatu Yaro, and her company, April 1616 Investment Limited, on 20 charges of procurement fraud, conspiracy, and conferring corrupt advantages on his associates. Emefiele, who had been in detention since he was suspended from the office in June 9 by President Bola Tinubu, was accused of conferring corrupt advantages on Yaro, a director in April 1616 Investment Limited. Now, the offense is contrary to the Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Act of 2000. Yaro was similarly accused of fraudulent acquisition of property for getting a contract from the CBN for the supply of 47 Toyota Hilux vehicles at the cost of 1.0857 billion naira, and therefore committed a punishable offense. Count 10 read that you, Sadatu Ramada Yaro, female adult, sometime in 2018 within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, while being employed at the CBN, knowingly held directly a private interest as director in April 1616 Investment Limited in a contract awarded to the said company for the supply of 47 Toyota Hilux vehicles at the cost of 1.857 billion, and thereby committed an offense. Now, count 11 reads, and I quote, that you, Sadatu Ramado Yaro, female adult, sometimes in 2018 within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, while being employed at the CBN, knowingly held directly a private interest as director in April 1616 Investment Limited in a contract awarded to the said company emanating from the CBN, where you are employed for the supply of 10 Mercedes-Benz armored buses at the cost of 2,222,500,000, and thereby committed an offense. Some witnesses against Emefiele listed as witnesses against the defense were the CBN Director of Procurement, Stanley Alvan, CBN Head of Procurement, Mike Agboro, Tahir Jafar, David Usman, and any other witness to be supplied later in the additional proof of evidence. Now, meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Lagos has fixed the ruling on the application to withdraw the illegal possession of firearms charges against Emefiele for Thursday. Justice Nicholas Owebo fixed the date after listening to the arguments of the DPP, Abubakar, and Emefiele's counsel, Joseph Daudu San, at the last adjourned date. The matter was slated for a hearing of pending applications seeking to stay the execution of the bill, and application compelling the complainant to obey the court orders. But when the matter came up on Tuesday, the DPP made an oral application to the court to withdraw the charges against Emefiele. He stated that the application was informed by emerging facts and circumstances that required further investigations, and urged the court to grant the application. Abubakar said the application was pursuant to section 174(1)(c) 2 and 108(2) and 4. But the defense counsel disagreed with the prosecution's oral application, arguing that because the government was in disobedience of the court orders granting Emefiele bail, its application should not be taken. Now, he said there is no application before the court. There is no doubt that I am not disputing the fact that the state can withdraw any charge before the court against any person. Now, Daudu further said that in the past, the argument was that there was no Attorney General of the Federation who could handle the case. So, do we say it is getting worse for the embattled CBN governor? Especially given the fact that the whole world, after the CBN under the control of its new acting governor, Fola Shodun Shonubi, released an intriguing financial report after 7 years of no financial statements under Emefiele. Well, it's obvious that more are still yet to come on the matter. We keep our fingers crossed. And moving away from the report, federal government promises no increase in the fuel pump price. That statement is credited to the presidency. Now, President Bola Tinubu is assuring citizens that there will be no increase in the pump price of petroleum motor spirit, highlighting his commitment to maintaining competitiveness in the petroleum industry. In a briefing with State House correspondents, presidential spokesperson Ajuri Ingilale says the president is urging all stakeholders to remain calm and avoid premature conclusions following recent threats from the organized labor movement. Now, acknowledging shortcomings within the midstream and downstream sectors, President Tinubu affirms the continuation of the deregulation policy, asserting Nigeria's pump price as the most cost-effective among West African neighbors. Now, the president called for patience as the nation navigates challenges and vowed to remain transparent about the issues, including foreign exchange liquidity due to past mismanagement of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, reacting to the president's assurance, oil marketers, on the other hand, on Tuesday advised President Bola Tinubu to gradually relax the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, following the inability of importers to access the United States dollars and the impact which this was having on businesses. However, marketers of petroleum products encouraged the president to learn from Kenya, stressing that the African country had to return subsidy on petrol to curb devastating impacts which its removal had on Kenyans. Now, the Secretary, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Abuja Suleja, Mohammed Shoibu, told our correspondent, saying, and I quote, "Government is about the people and it must have a listening ear. For Nigeria, how can we be an oil-producing nation with our refineries and all of them are down? We now depend on imports." Shaibu argued that despite the fact that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited announced earlier on Tuesday that it had no intention to increase petroleum price, the cost of the commodity would rise above its current 617 naira per litre in weeks if the exchange rate continues to increase. Now, going by the price of the dollar, the cost of petrol is bound to rise. In fact, some oil marketers are ready to join the labor union to protest. He added, some dealers had said subsidy on petrol will gradually creep in should the NNPCL continue to sell at 617 per litre, particularly if the rise in forex rate persists. The Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NAITI, also reacted and advised the government to initiate and implement a deliberate policy that will attract investors to invest and help in fixing Nigeria's refineries. In its latest policy advisory for the oil sector, NEITI advised the federal government to come up with a deliberate policy initiative which should be implemented with full presidential backing to encourage Nigerians and foreign investors already awarded licenses to establish private refineries in Nigeria. Now, we will take a short break. Thereafter, we'll be right back to open conversations on the deteriorating relationships between the governor and deputy governor of Edo State. The question will be, has it gone worse or worse? We go on a short break. Thereafter, we'll introduce our guest and we'll be right back. Join us again.
So we're withdrawing pending further investigation, at the end of which we'll probably come back with more charges. There is also another pending charge at the FCT High Court as we speak. So all this combined to slow down the process of complying with the orders of the court. It's about the charges at the FCT High Court, conferring unlawful advantage. There are charges that borders on procurement offenses.
Would you prefer access or the obedience of an order that says you can go to your house and sleep? Which will you take? We don't care about access. We are not asking for access. We are saying that the Nigerian laws must be obeyed. And if the courts in this country give an order, God forbid the day that court orders will be subject to interpretation of every subordinate agency.
So we're withdrawing pending further investigation, at the end of which we'll probably come back with more charges. There is also another pending charge at the FCT High Court as we speak. So all this combined to slow down the process of complying with the orders of the court. It's about the charges at the FCT High Court, conferring unlawful advantage. There are charges that borders on procurement offenses.
Would you prefer access or the obedience of an order that says you can go to your house and sleep? Which will you take? We don't care about access. We are not asking for access. We are saying that the Nigerian laws must be obeyed. And if the courts in this country give an order, God forbid the day that court orders will be subject to interpretation of every subordinate agency.
So
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding you, Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, Obaseki versus Shaibu. Worsens or worsens? Governor Obaseki has said he does not regret empowering his deputy, Comrade Philip Shaibu, and giving him a free hand to carry out his official duties. This was at the government house in Benin City while he was meeting with some top politicians of the PDP. Now, a few times he has tried to explain his own side of the story, as there seems to be no end to the rift between the deputy governor and the governor himself.
By the grace of God,
it certainly does appear that there are more discordant tunes between them. However, the deputy governor on his part also alleged that there are deliberate attempts by fifth columnists to widen the discord between him and Governor Obaseki while they are furthering their own personal inordinate agenda and interest. Now, the deputy governor had earlier gone to court to restrain the governor and 4 others from impeaching him while he reacted to a statement by the governor where the governor himself alleged some determination and coup aimed at removing him also from office. Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu still pledges his unwavering and unflinching loyalty to his governor and the PDP, at least so he said. Now, meanwhile, during the marking of the International Youth Day in Benin City, Obaseki, in his speech, accused his Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu of manipulating the election of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, in the state to further his governorship ambition on the charge that he gave the Deputy Governor too much responsibilities. Obaseki said, people are already blaming me now for giving him responsibilities and visibilities, and it is my fault. How can it be my fault when you want to groom young people? I believe when young people work with you, give them opportunities and expose them, preparing them for leadership positions in life. And also praying that they don't abuse such privileges. Now, let's rewind a bit to sometime last week while Governor Obaseki was speaking to stakeholders. He had alleged that Shaibu had become so desperate to succeed him in office in the coming Edo governorship election of 2024. He also claimed that out of desperation, he, that is Shaibu, was willing to work with some APC leaders to ensure that Speaker emerged in Edo House of Assembly, all to further his ambition, that he would do anything, including hashing a coup against his governor. Now, according to the governor in his speech, he says, and I quote, "How can deputy governor say he is loyal, yet he is doing such desperate things that are glaring and everyone can see. Now, just Tuesday, when leaders of Edo South Senatorial District visited him in Government House on Solidarity Visit, he said the Emilokon syndrome or spirit is not a strategy for winning elections and ruling Edo people. He said what is happening between him and his deputy is really unfortunate, sad, and avoidable because the people know where we are coming from, according to him now, and what we have gone through. What has happened in the last few months is strange, and even if you have ambition, this is not the time to express it. The timetable for the election is not out. You can't be part of a government and also be the one to destabilize the same government. I'm still quoting him now. I thought we came together and we live together. And let the people say you have done a great job and they will now make the decisions themselves. They are the ones to say that come rain or sunshine, we must continue. You are telling the world one thing, yet doing another. You are loyal to your principal and yet you are in court with your principal. Everybody has a right to be ambitious, but do it the right way. When we came in, I said, let's build institutions, not individuals. The Constitution provides for a deputy governor, and what I can't do, I call on my deputy to do it for me. That is not a crime. The Constitution doesn't provide for a co-governor, but a deputy governor. All right, we have seen or heard the statements directly from the governor. We'll now quickly introduce our special guest, Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, founder, CEO, ACC Broadcast Multimedia Limited, University of Ibadan, had a master's and PhD in University of Ibadan. He was a senior lecturer in the University of Benin for many, many years in departments of media arts and directing. He's a seasoned scholar, broadcaster, and political commentator. Also, he was appointed presidential consultant on media to the PDP presidential candidate just in 2022. He also served as director of research strategy and documentation, PDP Presidential Campaign Council. My Don, like we always say, Domosa, like it.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, sir. Oh, why yes, sir. Nice to have you on. Okay. Nice to have you on our show.
Thank you.
We know that you are very busy, and we know what you had to shave off to be with us on the show today. We deeply appreciate. Let me quickly run through the fact that the issues in Edo are fast becoming a national issue. But before we go into that, I'd like to ask you a few questions on some of the reports we took before. And I'd like to start by asking the CBN issue about Emefiele. What do you make of the whole developments as it goes? Just give us an overview.
I just think Emefiele is a fall guy, and I think he did not understand the difference between administration and political expediency. And as a result of that, he's holding on to the wrong end of the tail of a horse, and right now he's covered in his feces. I truly believe that Emefiele is more a victim. And the major problem now is because of the fact that many Nigerians suffered as a result of certain underhand policies. People are not rising the way they should have risen to his defense.
All right, the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Abubakar Mohammed, has said, defending the federal government, that administrative processes and pending charges against Godwin Emefiele occasionally was delayed. Now, in obeying the court ruling over his custody, Mr. Mohammed said that the action in rearresting him did not mean disobedience to court orders. Now, you will agree with me that there are administrative processes for handing over a detainee from one agency to the other, and that is what the state services had to do, and that is what occasioned the delay. That is the federal government defending they are not obeying court orders now. Is this justification for FG outright disobedience to court orders on Emefiele's case? Is that a justification?
No. I think the federal government in this case, as in many other several cases, has shown that they are just a bunch of, I'm sorry to say, elemental brigands. You see, I'm also a lawyer, and it is regrettable that the sanctity of our judicial system is being desecrated openly. There is nothing. There's nothing that should excuse the summary disobedience of subsisting court orders by any arm of government. Once that happens, then what we are just treading on, we are treading on the threshold of anarchy. When he was explaining it, I just laughed. Because what you saw was object sophistry. Let me speak pidgin. They just they lie give all of us. I'm being frank with you. So, and it is shameful that persons who are meant to uphold certain institutions are those who are desecrating it. The whole institution is now being covered in feces. That is just the truth. You see, a man, even if you have any form of new allegations, at least let the first court order be executed, and not even now rearresting them in the very
presence
court
of the
premises
pronouncement. Yes.
of the pronouncement. That is actually it is not even sub judice. That is actual. All those persons, if we were in a lawful society, should actually be in jail. And I think a time will come when one judge will summarily hold someone responsible. Let me tell you something. The DSS is a corporate body, but someone is the one pressing the buttons. Once someone is made culpable for such summary contempt of court and so sentenced, maybe it will just teach them to behave, because the consequences are grave and beyond all this braggadocio that we see every day. It's not a matter of social media. Emefiele's case is a sad manifestation of the failing nature of our federal infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, I don't mean I mean both human both human capital and institutional decay. That is what it is.
I get it very well. All right, doctor. In as much as people would agree that, okay, on the long run, the federal government may be fighting a just fight, it does not excuse the federal government from the fact that they have outrightly disobeyed court orders. But looking at the recent financial statements from the CBN, there is a fact that under Emefiele for almost 7 years, no CBN financial statement was released. Looking at this current one, the astronomical increase in emoluments of CBN staff, yet running decision in deficits of billions, the revelation that even our 38 or thereabout $1 billion foreign reserve, over 40% of it was borrowed from foreign banks. Would you say, sir, that the federal government, aside the fact that they disobeyed outrightly court orders, are fighting a just fight by holding on to Emefiele and these, new fresh charges that have just emerged?
My brother, let me explain this carefully. You don't do the right thing wrongly. That is why it's called due process, not just process. Due process. Number two, Emefiele, you see, like in 2021, Godwin Obaseki network that the Nigerian government, particularly the CBN, was running on deficit and borrowing money and printing currencies. Nobody listened. Now, Godwin Emefiele couldn't have done all those things without prior approvals. Godwin Emefiele wasn't running a government. The monies that were borrowed to government. The monies that were borrowed by government. The monies that were taken by government. I'm not even bothered about all these ones now. Emefiele suffered all of us, whereby we couldn't even get cash to pay for our vehicle, simple buying Gary became a problem. They were initiating a monetary policy, forgetting that in the whole Yobe state, which is larger than the entire Yobe alone, which is larger than the entire southwest, southeast of Nigeria, the 5 states, there is less than 7 banks or 8 banks that are functional outside of the city capital. So we know that I say Emefiele is just a fall guy. All these ones are things that can be done systemically. Given the right to rule over us, we have the rule of brigands. That is what, look at the video you just shown now. That is an outright disgrace. There is nothing under the sun. Okay, Emefiele, is he running away? Can't you let him go out of the court and at the outside of the court, or when he gets to another second street, you rearrest him? Must you carry out that act of, I use the word, elemental brigandage in front of cameras and disgracing the Nigerian nation before the Committee of Nations?
Right at the premises of the Temple of Justice.
Of the court, of the Temple of Justice, you desecrate it. You know, I don't know how liberal you guys are. Let me say, for poor man to understand. What did they do for there? It be like say people just waka come court, then shit for the court in presence of everybody. That is what they did. They peed on the face of justice.
Okay.
And that cannot be allowed. That is totally, in fact, I don't want, I almost wept when I watched it.
I quite agree with you, Doctor. Okay, still on criticizing government a little. Another development which does not seem to be, going away, which is the inter-agency scuffles. We see police, army, we see DSS, correctional facility, we see last mile against army recently. How do you see this ugly trend? Recall that in the past administration, they said, okay, Buhari's administration is not properly coordinated. Hence, we had agencies who were supposed to be protecting the interest of the presidency, at loggerheads against one another. Now we have a new administration. And it's getting uglier.
Do you have a new administration?
Yes, under President Bola Tinubu, technically, Doctor.
No, listen, that is where Nigerians get it all wrong. And it's a pity. We run a party democracy, a multi-party democracy. The APC was the last government. The APC is the present government. Under the law in Nigeria, it is the party that you get voted. There is no face of Bola Tinubu on the ballot box. Nobody voted Bola Tinubu. They voted the APC. Nobody voted Atiku. They voted the PDP. Nobody voted Peter Obi. They voted Labour Party. And the truth of the matter is, the manifesto presented of Mr. Buhari. So what it has just shown that the present administration in place is like jumping from a very hot frying pan right into hellfire. It's just what has happened. So when somebody, why are you distancing them? There is absolutely no difference. If it was say you were comparing Jonathan's government with Buhari's government, that is understandable. But you are comparing potato and potato, or tomatoes and tomatoes. That is what you are comparing. The government in presently at Aso Rock is a direct, I would like to say, midwife. It was directly midwifed by the very past president. So they are together. We were told in this Nigeria, it wasn't hidden, that Bola Tinubu brought Buhari to run, and then he told Buhari, Miloko, it's not my turn. And so it is a continuation, one to the other. I did not form it. So it just shows that what has happened is that when the head is rotten, the other parts of the body will. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Doctor, you can go on.
We are faced with a situation where Nigerians are looking for elemental excuses. You see, power is not given, power is taken, and power unchallenged becomes legitimate. Now, the continued nature of Nigerians to sit down and just think over the next school fees and the next what will happen when it gets to his, is what is restricting our progress as a people. We must question and bring those in power to question. What we have here in this country today, with the act being perpetrated by those persons that we just saw on your screen, is to show that there is a deafening failure by the larger Nigerian polity to call the leadership to question. What we have is a situation whereby we have allowed the worst of us to rule over the rest and the best of us. And that is what you get, where we now practice motor park democracy, a situation where we are saddled with persons in power whom we did not give a veritable way to run away from all these persons. And the only way is to take action, be involved in the political process, question your leaders, and then this will stop. If you are conscious of the repercussion of your action, you are most likely not to commit it. These persons who went in front in the brazen daylight to carry out such dastardly act, they are not conscious of the repercussions of their action, or they believe nothing can happen. So that is what is the problem. If one judge is courageous enough to put one of them on the dock and say there's been a violation of due process, and you have carried out a contempt of the court within the same premise of the same court that originated the order. Yeah, I hereby sentence you. Once he pronounces it, I hereby sentence you to 5 months in prison. What that means, whether that man goes to that prison or not, unless that order is changed by a higher court, the man can never run for public office again. He becomes a convict. He becomes an ex-convict, even if he doesn't serve jail term. That would be interested in fleecing away the commonwealth of all Nigerian peoples. That is the truth.
All right, Doctor. Let us now come to the main subject of our discussion. You are a very reputable member of the PDP, both at the state level and at the national. In fact, you recently served as Director of Research and Strategy and Documentation, PDP Presidential Campaign Council. And before then, you were consultant on media to PDP presidential candidate, which happens to be, the PDP.
The presidential consultant own is a continuous job.
It's a continuous job. Okay. Yes. Let me start by asking you, in Edo State, sir, how is the PDP? We hear a lot of things, but I want you to let our people know, how is the PDP in Edo?
The PDP in Edo prior to the elections was a PDP in a little form or in some level of disarray. We have to tell ourselves the truth. But since the election, particularly after the day after the presidential election, I think the scale started falling. There have been very serious, deliberate efforts by all the stakeholders within the Edo polity to make sure the PDP is exactly what it is, the government in power within the state. There's been a lot of reconciliations going on. There's been a lot of amendments in whatever must have angered people prior to now, so as to put everybody on board. And I think the governor, in the last few months, I've seen him crisscross. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it on real-time television, crisscrossing between one part of the state to the other, trying to bring everybody back together, so that the PDP can remain one strong and better family. That is the truth.
Okay, Doctor, is it too late or is it still on time? Actions of the governor, that's one. Then let me drag you a little bit into the arena. Now, the Obaseki-Shaibu rift is fast becoming an issue that has gained national statute. Would you also say, question 2, that Edo is yet again in the national news for the wrong reasons? And why, sir?
Let me. It is time. My own phraseology is it is time for Edo people to get off the national spectrum for the wrong reasons. We are almost like an unending soap opera, a badly scripted melodrama, you know, where the interests of certain individuals have pulled the very educated, very mentally and spiritually and politically aware people of Edo State into the wrong end of the political spectrum. That is just the issue. I also believe that you said the rift between the governor and his deputy. That was a shock to me. A shock because there is no governor in the history of Nigeria since return to democracy in 1999 that has given his deputies so much prominence. I don't know the deputy governor of my neighboring state, where I'm even from, Delta State. I don't.
That's correct.
Apart from Hamzat now, governor of Lagos State, I don't know the preceding deputy governors of. Because of, I feel, deliberate actions of the sitting governor, he had actually made his deputy a part and parcel of his own political journey and the wielding of gubernatorial power. And as a result of that, I thought that at the end of the day, since they have been together now, they've completed their they are on their 7th year in an 8-year run. They still have about a year and 3 months because they will leave November 2024.
Yes.
So I was shocked because there is no state governor in Nigeria that has handed over the reins of governorship anytime he goes on leave, transmitted it to the deputy Dan Godwin Obaseki. In the last dispensation, we are aware. I am very much aware because I was part and parcel of the entire elections in the last round in 2020. Philip was a tangential part of Godwin's administration. I'm using words now.
Yes.
Governor will tell you, I want to face governance. So to a large extent, the politics was to Philip. And I was shocked. That's why I said I was shocked. And we should not, I don't blame the governor because I followed the paper. I did not know. I was abroad and I did not know that there was a schism until I saw the deputy going to court to restrain the governor, the House of Assembly, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, and the Chief Judge of the state from impeaching him. And as a lawyer, I just laughed. I said, well, this is unknown to law. You cannot be going to court to seek an injunction over an action that has even yet to happen, over a speculative,
Doctor,
premature presumption. Yes.
All right, Doctor, why we'll continue on that thought. I quickly, before I ask my next line of feedback, a few of the videos and the specific statements that the governor made.
And by the grace of God, my tenure is coming to an end. And in about a year or so, by the grace of God, I'll be finishing. I owe a lot of you a lot of gratitude. I still have to go around and say thank you. If I tell you that what has happened in the last few weeks, we'll find ourselves in this sort of situation again. Let me fast forward and say, you remember the unfortunate incident that led many of you here to live with me. It is the way to go. And wherever you go, we go with you. We, as one family fighting injustice, agreed to go to PDP. And came together and said Obaseki must return. In that situation, I said, you have to carry me and my deputy. There is no negotiation on that. If I have to serve as governor, then it must be me and my. The rest is history. But you have heard, put it very clearly on record, that I am not aware of any plot or any scheme to impeach the Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Philip Shaibu. I have also checked, and there is no such plan, or there was no such plan. The court action that has now been taken by him, for me, is a thing of shock and disappointment. I have sat back to reflect, try and understand why somebody I have worked closely with and given so much latitude to work has decided to go on this course of action, and in fact gotten to a point where he had to go to court. And it is clear from what has happened in the last few weeks that it's unfortunate that this is just a preemptive move by him to conclude what he has already started. I must state here that Comrade Philip Shoaibu has never had a courtesy to discuss his ambition with me. What I hear is that he is consulting. Because the last time we spoke about my succession after the last House of Assembly elections, I did say that we should all be patient, and that our task today is to try and finish. Because it's only when we do these two things right would we have the support from our people to produce my successor. I made it very
All right, many thanks for staying tuned. Those were some very deep and specific statements by the executive governor of Edo State, unambiguous, very clear. He did not only express his disappointments, he has expressed his uncertainty, and he has further gone by saying, if you are loyal, are these acts the acts that I expect of you as a loyal person? So obviously, there is a major issue between the executive governor and the deputy governor on the issue of the deputy governor's ambition, according to the governor, and how he is going about it. I still have Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki with me, and that takes me to my next question, sir. You saw the videos, you saw his statements. A lot of people outside Edo State would like to know what exactly would have been the promises made, who brought him as deputy governor against the wishes of many political stakeholders back then. What were the promises? You are a PDP chieftain. You may be privy to some very, very tight and informations at the echelon of the party.
Let me just, I think I should just, I was asked that same question in another television program a day or two ago. And I just laugh. Philip needed not to be promised anything. Philip was deputy governor on the whim of Oshomole. And Oshomole had said in a video last week, it trended, that look, even my own deputy who I locked out, whom he locked out of the primaries venue, did not take me to court. Number two, at the tail end of their first term in office, Philip was a political liability as far as I was concerned. I'm saying this now as one of the negotiators of moving the governor to the PDP. The governor insisted that Philip must come with him. So if Philip was the one that had the political clout, the PDP, a few years before, Autumn was in the APC, moving to the PDP. A few years before, Aminu Tambuwa was in the APC,
moving to the PDP. Okay,
not
to interrupt you.
No, let me finish. Let me explain what I want to say.
Okay.
Now, in all these ones, once you are not moving, the party you are coming to, you will give them deputy. So the deputy for Autumn was prescribed by the PDP. Same thing with Tambuwa dropped his deputy of his first term. Now in Edo State, Godwin said, no. This boy I am grooming is my boy. I will go with him. Wherever Obaseki goes, Shaibu must follow. So nothing was promised to Shaibu. And it will be mental. Okay, I wanted to be governor in 2016. My elder brother becomes governor. Then now my elder brother is leaving office. I want to be governor. People forget that Oshomole is the elder brother of Philip Shuaibu on paper. Philip Shuaibu's father is the official legal father of Adams Oshomole. Go and check all his papers from the United Nigerian Kaduna Textiles till Labour Congress.
Yeah, adopted legal father.
Oshomole taking Shuaibu to school in Kakuri in Kaduna as a small boy. Now, you are from the same village with the immediate past governor. Philip Aliu Oshomole is from Iyamo in Esako West local government of Edo State. Let me tell you how close they are. If you remember the wahala that happened where they disgraced the Oni of Ife or the Oba of Lagos at the Edo University, Philip rode a bicycle, Okada, to governor. That is how close their houses are. Their father's house, their family houses are less than 150 meters away from one another. About 7 houses. Now, you want the governorship of Edo State. Let's be frank, governor, because they make up 62% of the landmass of the state and 60% of the total registered voters of the state, and Ole Benin City, Ikpobaoka Ego and Oredo make up 48% of both the voting publics in Edo State and almost 70% of the total revenue accruable to Edo State. The oil revenue that is accruable to Edo State comes from only 3 local government areas: Ovia Northeast, Ikpobaoka, and Oriomo, and all these are in Edo South. So if the people who are 60% of the state are not crying that they must be governor, who make up less than 11% or 9%, 10% of the state. So it is not even arithmetically right. Philip has not, let me tell you, I don't want to be upset. The election is about value, and the electoral value is based on the ballot box. Philip has never won an election in his own locality because it's unfortunate that he's in the same locality with Oshomole.
I was keeping something to enrich your argument. Now, aside the fact that I know you, I've been your student for many, many years. I was there in the palace when the Oba, the immediate past Oba, may God rest his soul, awarded you as one of the major indigenes of Edo that have brought pride to Edo. A lot of other names, including one broadcaster female, I interviewed him that day. So I know your pedigree, I know your personality. But this line of conversation is convenient because everybody or anybody who's listening, who is probably not from Edo State, will say, you are Obaseki is Obaseki. Probably you are throwing your weight behind your brother.
No.
Yeah, but just like I said, it is to throw this open so that you can explain better. It's easy.
Okay,
Because I know that you are
let me-
also Philip Shaibu's friend to a reasonable extent.
Yes.
And Philip Shaibu has a right to pursue his ambition. So combine that together.
No, you know why I went on that trajectory was because of the perception or the insinuation that maybe governor promised Philip something. No, I have spoken with him personally.
Okay.
So, boy, it doesn't make sense. I'm telling you this. I have more access to call. Shaibu is my age mate. Godwin is 10 years older than me. I'm not being mate. So if I have to relate to him, I relate to him as elder brother. So and we don't have any social interaction in common. Yes. Yeah, I play football, you know. So, and the truth of the matter is this: myself and Godwin Obaseki, governor, is different from myself and Brother Godwin.
Okay.
You see, now that he's governor, I just stay away. I've not spoken with him directly at least once. Once I've spoken with him, and that was in January 9 in the United Kingdom, where we went for campaign to see the Prime Minister with Atiku. I've not been in the same governance space with Godwin since 2020 elections. Because there is actually nothing.
Okay.
I'm not a commissioner in the state, I'm not a whatever, but I can pick the phone and speak to Philip.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, my only problem was there are political avenues that should have been expertly and expressly explored without going to court. It is the going to court that made Olusegun Orumesi to know that something was going down. Same with every other person. They go court. What did happen? You know, particularly, you know, and when I was watching the governor just now, I can feel the sense of angst, the pain of betrayal. This one, man went beside it. Let me tell you, in Edo State, it's not like any other state. The chairman of the party came to Edo State for us to split between those coming from the APC to join us and those who were the members of the PDP that were there, to split the party offices and the commissioners and everything. And the person that went rogue in public was Philip. He took the microphone and told everybody present in presence of IU that he wasn't interested in PDP, that it is because the governor was there. That was why Mr. Wike got upset and said, who the hell is this deputy governor?
Yeah, I remember. And the governor still came to the deputy governor's defense. Yes.
And yes, the governor not just came, he paid people to go on air. He took pages in 5 national newspapers. So what, if he wanted to be someone who will sacrifice Philip on the altar of political expediency, he will side with his brother governor. I told you, when we were negotiating to move, Wike and Co. insisted that PDP must bring the deputy governor. And God will say, no, if that is the case, keep your ticket. I can go another party. Because the governor will win anyway. Because at that time, everything in Edo State was Edo not the carry last, Edo not be Lagos, not to federalism. So it was very clear. And if you look at the voting pattern, listen, don't be offended. Edo has 3 senatorial districts: Edo North, Edo Central, and Edo South.
Correct.
In Edo North, there are 6 local government areas. The PDP, where Philip was deputy governor, lost 5 and won only 1. And the one we won with 365 votes, or one West. But in Edo South, we won 82,000 vote difference. So the only places we lost were the places Esako East, Esako West, Esako Central, and in Esako West, where he's from, we lost with close to 10,000 votes in one first swap. That is the background and homing ground of Senator Adams Oshomole. So that's why I said, you may say, some people may say, no, on a political level, Philip has he has 0 political value. Now, for me, I feel I heard the governor speaking just now. It was a preemptive action, but I told myself, preemption to what? It's a different thing when you are preempting something so that you can shoot ahead, or preempting so to avoid something. The Nigerian constitution, you know, you went to court. Nigerians don't even realize that going to court in the first place. Article 1, section 188 of the Nigerian constitution precludes all courts from from interfering in an impeachment proceeding. It's an outside clause. Now, for you to go to court, there are three things. They are called injunctions. There is the interim injunction, interlocutory injunction, and the final injunction. An interim injunction cannot last more than 1 week. It's just to say, okay, it's an ex parte motion that the other party wasn't involved when you filed the motion. Now that has passed. You must now go to the level of hearing the substantive case. So what is the substantive case? There is none, because it is speculative. Your substantive case must be based first of all on a letter that are saying, come, we want to impeach you. That letter does not exist. The Edo State House of Assembly have not had a meeting over it. You don't sue somebody for a crime that is yet to be committed.
In as much as you are correct. So it's possible within political circles, Shaibu must have heard 1 or 2 or 3 other things, just like you said, a preemptive kind of action. But Shaibu, whether we believe it or not, Doctor, seems to be gathering some kind of sympathy. Adaze Emata was not only special advisor, but became commissioner under Obaseki, and for one reason or the other, stepped aside and said he doesn't want his Shaibu's senatorial district to produce another governor. There are ways that he should go about it, and that there are evidences that Shaibu had been stopped from attending sensitive state council meetings, and even sometimes hindered from carrying out his primary responsibility.
Correct some very huge, almost monumental fallacies. Number one, Andrew Emata was a commissioner appointed by Godwin in August 2021. Fact. On the 26th or 27th, on Wednesday, the 27th of April, Godwin Emata was sacked. Go and check your papers. He did not elect not to support Godwin again. Godwin dissolved the entire cabinet. So Emata was relieved of his position. In fact, when Emata was made commissioner for information in August 2021, by December, there was a humongous cry it's also in the newspapers that nobody wanted him to. So he was dropped and then moved to commissionership for youth. Before he was sacked, they were all sacked. And in June, the governor reconstituted a new ESCO, and Adaze Emata was no longer, Andrew Emata was no longer in that ESCO. It is in reaction, in anger, that Adaze, I have even called him and said, boy, take it easy. So now on the second level, you said that the deputy governor has been restricted from taking part in his in performing his.
I didn't say it wasn't me who said it.
No, you said I mean you read it out.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay,
but
I want to place it in proper context.
Okay, doctor, go on.
Context number one. It was after he went to court. If you notice, that was part of the things they said in the second hearing. Number two, in Edo State, the governor is holding a meeting of the PDP. The governor is holding a meeting of the PDP in Edo State, and the deputy governor, on the same time on national TV, was hosting the APC Legislative Assembly people in Abuja. It was on television. It was from that time that they stopped him. The governor, you heard what the governor, you played it on this program now.
Yes, I did.
That there was that there was, it was even as if they wanted to remove him. Now, let me explain this to people so that we don't get it wrong.
Exactly.
In May 29th, the new people were sworn in. In June, the governor was to promulgate the State House of Assembly. In June. And what caused wahala 4 years ago was about happening again. The governor didn't want that. So, and only in Edo State, the Edo Central people have never been governor or deputy. So it was agreed that the next governor or deputy will come from Edo South.
From Edo Central.
Or Edo Central. That was is agreed because the last governor was from Edo North and the present deputy from Edo North. So they zoned the speakership to Edo North. But if they zone the speakership to Edo North, I'm a politician, it will automatically preclude that House of Assembly or PDP ticket. So why they were, this is where the real wahala started.
Okay.
That the Philip was trying to, in cohort with the 8 members of the APC, to political calculations of the state.
The speaker that will be loyal to him, so they said.
The governor did not say a word until the Philip went to court. So immediately that happened, I cannot now, I'm not stupid, you are not stupid, we are not stupid. I cannot be in the PDP and be bringing in, just like Mr. Wike is doing now. We are holding political meetings. We are holding political meetings and we are bringing in Wike into the political meeting. That doesn't make sense. So that was when it is just last month that Philip was being stopped. If you go back to your videos, just in April here, April, just 3 months ago, Philip was still superintending over revenue collection in Edo State, where we found out that 3 million was totally collected. Philip, if you go what is going down in Edo State now, is the senatorial candidate of the APC in Edo South, Valentine Aswen, just came out yesterday with a video that is going everywhere.
I've seen the video.
In fact, Philip tried to stop him from running by closing his petrol station. Philip also controls who runs petrol stations in Edo. He has about 30 or 35. So this is clear. Philip Godwin is the only governor in Nigeria that has ceded political power to his deputy 5 times. Ali Oshomole will lock up the former deputy governor in his house so that he won't come out. The deputy governor under Ngige was fighting to remove Ngige. Etiaba did not wait for Peter Obi. She was sworn in.
Doctor, so that's a harsh thing to say about Oshomole.
Yes. But on a serious note, Philip, I told somebody on air that Godwin Obaseki is the creator of his own problem. Yes, because Philip is the one that was made in charge of the committee to build the Edo State Stadium, Ogbe Stadium. Philip was made chairman of the National Sports
renovate the
Festival.
Stadium. Renovation of the Ogbe Stadium.
Yeah, the Ogbe Stadium. That was a massive, it was a tear down of the old one. Okay. You know, so almost like Philip became a the most politically powerful and the most visible deputy governor. And that is only based on the governor's magnanimity. That is just the truth. You can see when the man is talking and he's lying. Look at his eyes. You can, when the man was talking just now, I've never really taken time to just listen. It was, you gave me the time, I was just looking at him. Because he's not a very emotional man. Okay. But I can see him touching on the brink of emotion. And that is not Godwin risk. It is not his forte. But you can see a palpable disappointment. I was shocked. I won't lie. When I saw it, I just picked up the phone and I called him. Boy, yeah, I just said you go court. What did happen? He said, I said, about you, they want to impeach you. He said, they don't tell you they want to impeach you. He said, no, I know. Say they go want. I said, yeah, oh boy, just like that. You see, let me tell you the truth, if they had tried to impeach Philip without Philip going to court, the forces that would have been against that attempt would have been massive. I won't lie to you. People like me, I won't understand. Why do you want to impeach the guy? Why do you want to impeach him? What did he do? You know, Shakespeare says loneliness is young, ambitious ladder. Everybody has the right to aspire. But when the aspiration
I
is
was
based on
I was getting to that
yes.
point, because it
Yes.
seems that if you look at our political chronology in Nigeria, a lot of governors, not all, a lot of governors often have issues one way or the other with their deputies, becoming governor after them. So why do you think generally, away from maybe the Obaseki-Shaibu bias, why do you think generally governors are always uncomfortable when their deputies want to succeed them in office, as it were? Because no matter how much we have these conversations, I know you've laid a lot of facts, some people are still sympathetic with Philip, saying that the governor may be pushing it too hard, or, as it's characteristics of governors, they're not comfortable with deputies being their successors. How would you, how would you speak to that?
Okay, I would say political.
Most times it's true, but this one was picked by his governor.
Yeah,
ironically,
that's where I'm coming to.
Oh, beautiful!
You're a very smart guy. You see, many are not picked by the governors.
True.
So they come in, they are political journeymen. But this one, at least for this second term, was picked by the governor. So the governor might not have ulterior motives. He said it when he was talking, that we came together. We will live together. Terrible stickler for process. Your take-home pay won't take you home. That is how Godwin Obaseki is. And we have come in the last, I know him, I mean, he's my elder brother, but those people have come in the last few years to know this is the kind of man he is. If you can't come bring money for bribe, you are in trouble. If you say, no, Edo people's money is for Edo people, it's not for a few politicians. That is his ethos, and we can't change it. And he has said that he doesn't want to build people, he wants to build institutions. He has said it. So I don't feel that the normal problem between deputies and their bosses, as usually takes place in almost all the states of the federation, can play out in the Godwin-Philip case. Because what their case had been prior to just last month when Philip went to court was a seeming big brother, younger brother, Siamese twins in the political space doing things together. It's the kind of things that Godwin will say. I will keep wondering, how do these two people, how do they complement each other? A very prim, proper, aristocratic technocrat of a governor, and my friend, who at times could use words that will shock you. I can still remember the way he described Oshomole. I can't believe that one that time. Almost
no, but in the end, everybody makes certain statements that can be used against us in future. As we gradually,
they say the internet doesn't forget.
The internet doesn't forget. As we gradually wind up, Doctor, thank you so much for opening up this conversation so that people, especially people, better, because we still have about 1 year and about 4 or 5 months to the governorship election. But let's talk about you briefly, sir. We have just very few minutes, sir. What are your political plans? Because I know you've tried to contest in the past, but as a gentleman, I know you had to bow out to allow certain things happen. I know you are overqualified, to serve even as executive governor of the state, whichever party that throws you up, because eventually the parties are the vehicles. What are your plans, sir? I'll tell you what I'm asking later, but what are your plans?
Nigerians don't, let me tell you, you get the leadership you deserve. I want to be governor.
True.
But Nigerians don't vote for men of truth. They want the one who come and share money. I don't get money to share. They want to come and do, no. They want those who will come and do rank. No. Don't come to my house and hail me. You have no business in that space. Because I have dedicated my life to make sure now, at least within the political space in Edo State, to move the mental capacity of our people upward. Because you cannot move a people forward if you don't raise their brain power upward.
Very
and
correct.
It is that elemental gap that is a problem within the Nigerian polity. In the national space, I will fight. It's like there's now I'm in court with Atiku. That is, I am a total support of the court action. I am in court supporting Atiku Abubakar and the PDP because first of all, I believe. You get my point? So in going forward, I just have no political ambition. I'm immersed in my farm.
For now.
my media, I have a couple of media licenses. I run one or two television radio stations.
Yes.
I don't tell you which one may not will make the
We
present
know. We are all in the media. We know, Doctor.
So, and then my farm. I'm a massive farmer. I go there. Now farm.
So no political ambition yet. For now.
May I not go crazy? No. But I will not. Well, I'm coming now. But I will not sit back and allow any man who lacks capacity to be governor over my state. I would rather die. Irrespective of the political engineering and shenanigan of anybody, that is from the man who walks on the street to the executive governor of the state. They must give us a governor. They must bring out persons who have the elemental verve to move Edo forward. We will not be caged in the politics of the past. And I'm sounding this one as a clarion call to everybody who thinks that way. Forget whether my papa and my senior brother be governor. But if my senior brother go support person when no fit carry us go forward, now the same power when I take talk for years so now we will take naked the person. Because the collective commonwealth of my people is of primal consideration and not some closed circuit arrangement behind the sanctuary of locked doors. The processes that Adams Oshomole used in bringing my elder brother Godwin Obaseki to power in 2016 will not play of God above.
Thank you so much. All right, it's a beautiful place to leave it, Doctor. I really appreciate you and thank you so much for your time. We hope that when we call you again, you find time to join us, especially as we discuss issues bordering on our national policy. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll be speaking to Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, an academic, a very, very eloquent person and a political communicator. He's also an expert in communications and a lot. His CV is a very, very huge one. It's been a beautiful time with you today on Political Spectrum. Join us tomorrow as we bring yet another exciting edition as we discuss and have conversations back and forth on developments on our national polity. I remain yours sincerely, Onwese Ehinoma Olusegun. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.